Imagine waking up to a world where the one thing that gives life meaning, its ending, has been permanently erased. No more funerals, no more disease, and no more aging. You are biologically frozen in time. But this isn't the paradise we were promised in mythology. It is the dawn of a biological catastrophe. Every injury you sustain, every scar you earn, and every cellular error in your DNA will now be your companion for the next 10,000 years. We have spent millennia trying to conquer death, but we never stop to ask, what happens when the exit doors are locked from the outside? You aren't living forever. You are entering a permanent state of biological decay that has no reset button. For centuries, humanity has viewed death as the ultimate enemy, a glitch in our biology that needed to be patched. But removing this glitch creates a systemic failure so profound it would reshape the very fabric of our reality. In the next 10 minutes, we are going to reveal the 3 terrifying secrets of an immortal society that the history books never warned us about. First, we will uncover the biological debt, why an immortal body becomes a living prison of accumulated trauma. Second, we will look at the math of 100 billion souls and the inevitable privatization of the right to die. And finally, we will reveal why the human mind is neurologically incapable of handling infinity. If you think living forever is a gift, wait until you see the price tag. Biologically, immortality is a nightmare of accumulation. In a world without death, the concept of healing changes forever. Normally, our cells regenerate, but they have a limit, the Hayflick limit. If we bypass this to achieve immortality, we aren't necessarily achieving eternal youth. We are achieving eternal persistence. Consider the accumulation of physical trauma. Over a 1,000-year lifespan, the statistical probability of surviving without a major injury drops to nearly 0. In a mortal world, a broken back or a severed nerve is a tragedy that eventually ends. In an immortal world, if the regenerative capacity doesn't perfectly match the damage, you could spend the next 5 centuries in a body that is functionally broken, but refuses to expire. We would see the rise of the living fragmented, individuals whose bodies have sustained so much environmental and physical damage that they are essentially trapped in a shell of non-functioning tissue. Furthermore, consider the DNA. Even if we stop aging, our cells are constantly bombarded by radiation and toxins. Over centuries, the biological noise in your genetic code would reach a tipping point. Without the natural culling process of death, these errors don't just stay, they compound. You would become a walking museum of genetic mutations. But a broken body is only the beginning. The real horror starts when you realize there is nowhere left to stand. The mathematics of immortality are cold and unforgiving. Currently, the Earth struggles to sustain 8 billion people. If the death rate drops to 0 while the birth rate continues, even at a fraction of its current pace, we hit a hard wall of physics. Within just a few generations, the global population would balloon to 100 billion. Space is not the only thing we would run out of. We would run out of opportunity. In a world where the 200-year-old CEO never retires and the 500-year-old politician never leaves office, social mobility vanishes. The youth would be born into a world where every position of power, every piece of land, and every resource has been owned by the same person for centuries. This leads to the most chilling development, the privatization of death. When life becomes a crowded, stagnant hell, the right to die will become the most valuable commodity on Earth. We would likely see the rise of terminal corporations, companies that sell the only thing left that money can't buy, an end. If you are wealthy, you can afford a clean, dignified exit. If you are poor, you are condemned to live in the resource-depleted shadows of the immortals forever. Death, once the great equalizer, becomes the ultimate luxury. But even if you have had all the space and wealth in the world, your own mind would eventually turn against you. The human brain was never designed for infinity. Our psychology is built entirely on the foundation of scarcity, specifically the scarcity of time. We value things because they end. We love because we know we might lose. We achieve because we have a deadline. Neurologically, our memory systems have a finite capacity. After 3 or 4 centuries, what happens to your earliest memories? To maintain new information, your brain would have to overwrite the old. You would eventually lose your original identity, becoming a ship of Theseus in human form, unable to remember your first 100 years of life. More importantly, the dopamine of discovery would vanish. After 1,000 years, you've seen every sunset, heard every melody, and engaged in every possible conversation. The world would lose its color, leading to a state of infinite boredom, a psychological catatonia where nothing is new, nothing is risky, and therefore nothing matters. Immortality isn't a long life. It's a flat, gray line that stretches into a horizon you can never reach. And this brings us to the final, most terrifying realization of all. The ultimate reveal is this: death is not a flaw of biology. It is a feature of evolution. Without death, there is no change. Without change, there is no progress. An immortal species is a dead species, a biological statue frozen in the past, unable to adapt to a changing universe. The secret of the grave is that it provides the necessary pressure for life to actually live. By killing death, we don't become gods. We become fossils that happen to still be breathing. The solution is to stop fighting the clock and start respecting the rhythm of existence. Our mortality is exactly what makes our stories worth telling and our moments worth living. If this deep dive changed how you look at your own timeline, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss our next investigation into the what-if scenarios that define our universe. For the full technical blueprint on the biological limits of the human brain, click the link in the description below.